Alright, this is gonna be a little bit of a special video, cause it's now been 1 year playing Honkai Star Rail. I did not start at release, I started shortly after, so yeah, I just now hit the 365 days. So this is gonna be a year in review, kind of see where my account is, my general thoughts on the game. So, let's take a look at just at the characters real quick. So, I've been pretty picky about who I roll for, and I tend to roll for Eidolons and Light Cones instead of getting more characters. I just prefer stronger units overall compared to having a variety of units. So I've only pulled on 5 limited characters.
Nice.
Those being Topaz, Ruin May, Kafka, Black Swan, and Aventurine. I have gotten a couple standard banner characters. Other than that, I just got an army of 4 stars. Everyone's pretty well leveled. I did do a lot of overworld EXP farming. I have since retired from it. I'm still making a couple of videos to showcase the routing, EXP routing, but as for me personally doing it anymore, I definitely don't. The main way I get EXP now is I just use the daily EXP and then just whatever EXP I get from clearing like Memory of Chaos or Forgotten or Pure Fiction, so I can use those to level characters up, and at this point I'm pretty much fine. Next target is definitely get Aventurine up to 80. Once he's 80, then I'll probably work on Gallagher, and then Hanya, then Misha, and then lastly Hook, since those are the only characters I have left that are not level 80. Everyone else is already level 80. So, EXP wise, we're pretty good on EXP, so we don't really have to worry about that too much. As far as light cones, I am very concerned on light cone EXP, so I just try to get as many light cone EXP as I can. Since I don't do a lot of pulls, or I tend to sit on my jades, I don't get as much 3-star cones to fodder out. So a lot of these, of course, I don't use. Some of these I'm debating on superimposing or just using as EXP feed. So it just kind of depends on where I'm at and how I'm feeling. So, overall, let's see if we can sort light cones. Better way to view the light cones from this menu. Yeah, so this is by level, so we got a decent selection of the 5-star cones here that are all level 80, so I've definitely worked those up. I've gotten all the Herta cones, they're all superimposed 5. It took me a little bit, but I did get them all, and I'm under the impression that another one's coming soonish, so we'll be preparing for that. But yeah, I generally do like to get light cones where possible. I did score this second copy of But the Battle Isn't Over just last night from a standard banner pull. I was due for a 5-star. I think I was at like 80 something pulls since my last one. So I actually got Battle Isn't Over, which is really good, but I already got a Battle Isn't Over from spending the 600 points in the shop. Because I wanted to get that for Bronya earlier, so now I have 2. Probably going to level it up, just have a second one, because we are with the addition of the Harmony MC, we got more Harmony units, and I don't actually have a lot of Harmony light cones. Like, I'm missing one really important one. Memories of the Past is one that I've never actually gotten in the year I've been playing, so it's just never been on a banner that I've pulled for, so it's just been really rough. But yeah, hopefully I'll get Memories of the Past at some point. I have been working multiplication up. That's kind of the goal. It's only a 3-star cone, but it's really good for abundance, so I figured I'd get that leveled out of the way. So it and meshing cogs are like the 2 OP 3-star cones. All the other 3-star cones are honestly kind of trash. There's an argument for passkey on Serval, but you tank her base stats pretty badly, so I don't know if that's really a good idea. Anyways, so for light cones though, we're pretty well set up. Just getting a couple more of these up to level 80 in due time, just to get some higher base stats for some of my units would be good. But otherwise, doing alright there. Don't have too many issues. As far as relics are concerned, I've had trouble making sets. I've made a couple sets. Like I feel pretty good with my Kafka, who's by far my main character. The character I use the most. Well, according to statistics, the character I've used the most is actually Natasha of all characters. But Kafka's the the DPS I use the most, and I didn't get her until a bit later. So, and well, later I mean like you get Natasha like right away, and I had to wait a couple months until Kafka was first released. But her speed is fantastic. 148 speed. She gets up to 160 speed, so she gets to get the full effect out of the Glamoth set. Set's just pretty solid. Got a really good amount of attack on most pieces. A ton of speed, which is, in my opinion, probably the best stat to focus on her is just get as much speed, not so much the attack, because you just want to take advantage of your other characters' damage and build more attack on them. Which is why my Black Swan is a bit on the slower side, is because I focus way more on just pumping her attack power up as much as possible so she gets the biggest dots. And then Kafka explodes the dots. Same thing kind of on Sampo. And the only speed he has at the moment is unfortunately on his boots. Would like to have some more speed. If I could get like a decent-ish amount of speed on his relics, I would probably switch to attack boots and push him closer to like a 4K attack build. Doesn't have his last idol on though, which is really big for his dot multiplier. Now I did mention me pulling for stuff, so let me go over that. So Topaz, I just pulled her E1 last night, so I can get that extra fucking 50% fucking crit damage for the party. That's gonna be really goddamn nice. Her stats look terrible. It's because I'm using an energy recharge rope on her. Technically I can switch this. It depends on who I'm using. Like, yeah, I would mostly switch it with this if I'm not using Himiko actively, just so she can get some better attack. Let's go ahead and just switch that real quick. Yeah, so she's got 2,000 attack, which is a bit low on the lower end, but her job is mostly just to build SP, plier debuffs, get tons of turns, and have Numby go off as much as possible. So 143 speed is pretty good. Ideally you want to get closer to like 160, so hopefully I'll make some improvements there. That's also why I'm running the messenger set over a 4-piece Grand Duke, just so I can have some extra speed on her. And then of course I did pull her light cone as well, so she effectively gives what, 74? Yeah, 74% crit damage to the enemy that she attacks. Because this will apply up 24%, and then her idle one will add another 50%. Ruin May, I did not pull her light cone. She's one of those characters I kind of felt obligated to pull for. I wasn't too interested in her as a character, but her kit just complements dot teams too damn well for me not to pull her, so I just pulled her E0. E1 would probably be a good idea because, I mean, that defense ignore is retardedly strong. But maybe on the rerun banner I'll consider it. We'll see. Kafka is E2 because I wanted that extra dot for all allies, and then her dot debuff from the E1. And of course I pulled her light cone to go all in. Black Swan is also E1, S1. Just that all res pen for the 4 dot types is just really damn good. Makes her more usable as well when you're not using her with Kafka, because there are some enemy lineups where you don't necessarily need Kafka and you can make use of other characters, or you need Kafka on the other side because the other side's lightning weak, whereas one side's, like, let's say it's fire and wind weak. Then I can run Sampo and Gwyneth with her. Bronya was my the beginner banner. I got Bronya. I do have the additional reward. I can E1 her, but I've decided not to do it just yet. I kind of feel like I'm not having too much trouble clearing content, so I don't need the skill point generation just yet. So I'm just kind of sitting on it because you never know. Maybe I'll want to grab Clara or Welt. They're the only two standard banners I don't have just yet. Or maybe I'll end up pulling one of them from a lost 50-50, and then I could potentially pull the other one. So I'm just kind of sitting on it at the moment. Not too big of a deal. It's kind of annoying that I have to see that red indicator there all the time, but you know, you get over it, you get used to it. Dr. Ratio, pretty good gear setup on him, relic-wise. Not a 4-piece set, but the stats just overall are just really good. So, kind of see the stats here. We got good crit value, some more crit value with a little bit of attack and some speed. Some more speed, a little bit of crit. Technically, I don't think I had a better turn to this one just yet. Yeah, that one didn't roll well enough on the crit chance. I just keep getting crit rate bodies for some reason. But I've loaded him pretty heavily on crit damage. I'm using Stellar Seas on him. Seems to work. If for some reason, like some fights, if you don't need Topaz in the team, though I'm pretty much going to have them paired non-stop now, but if I didn't need Topaz in the team, I can actually just switch and make him use Topaz's light gun. Gives him a little more attack, gives him a little more base crit. He doesn't get the extra crit when the enemy's under 50%, but he gets that 30% follow-up damage, which is actually really strong, and then he also plants that debuff for himself. So, actually is pretty good to use Topaz's light cone on him. If you had like a spare Topaz light cone, it's really damn good to put on him. But of course it's better to pull his light cone if you're gonna pull for a light cone. So I wouldn't spend the jades on a Topaz cone for him. Man, Pella's been one of my goddamn workhorses. Like, Jesus Christ, this bitch has like helped me so fucking much since the beginning. She was like one of the first 4-stars I pulled. And I started using her like almost immediately just because I liked having the Dispel. But yeah, she's turned into quite the powerhouse. As soon as they gave us the let's see, yeah, before the tutorial mission starts, like that just made her really goddamn strong. I like running her with the Resolution Pearl Shine Sweat as well, so she has extra debuffs. Yeah, she's just been just a really damn strong character. Just the defense down helps my dot teams. It helps Ratio. Her having Dispel, constant ults. Like, she's just been a solid character. SP generator as well. So, you know, when people place her high on tier lists, they're doing it for good reason. I don't always agree with the tier list because they do some funny shit, but when it comes to Pella, I think they're pretty spot on. In fact, I think it took them too long to recognize how strong Pella was. Ting Yun, another good workhorse. I do have Dance Dance Dance. It's an S2. I decided to superimpose over having 2 copies. Just because I want the extra advance effect. Hopefully one day we'll get it to S5. Tons of speed, 169, nice. Other than that, just kind of tank her up. See, she has pretty good HP and defense. Would like higher defense over more HP. I'll kind of explain on that when I get to one of the next characters here. Sampo, just use him with dot teams, nothing too special. I do have S5 Eyes of Prey, which I got a little while ago. I think, what was it, the Black Swan banner, I think, had Eyes of Prey on it. So that's where I got most of the copies and got it to S5, so that was really nice. And Aventurine, my newest new pulled character. I decided it was time to finally get a limited sustain, since I skipped like all of them up till this point. I did get a Japard recently though, so I was kind of debating of just sticking with Japard, but I decided to pull the trigger on Aventurine because I do like using Topaz and Ratio. I do like the follow-up comp. So I picked him up. I put the Moment of Victory on him, which I also spent the 600 tokens in the shop to get from failed pulls. So that way I just have it because it's a really good light cone. Or no, I did not spend. I actually pulled this from the standard banner. That's right. Yeah, I got this in a standard banner pull. So, and it's really damn good on Aventurine. Just the enemies just constantly attacking me, gets that extra defense, and then the more frequently he gets attacked, the more stacks of his blind bet goes up, and he gets to trigger his follow-up way more frequently. So that's really damn nice. Relics are really damn good. I'm really happy with his relics so far, and this is a lot of this is just stuff like I didn't farm recently, just old stuff that I had that looked really jank at first. I did just make these boots the other day though. I did do some synthesizing for boots. Got a speed boot that had defense and crit damage on it, so I went ahead and rolled it, and yeah, this is how it turned out. The effect hit rates, you know, not very useful on him. Break effects okay, but not great, but just that amount of defense and crit damage, this is really goddamn good boots. Chest piece is defense with some crit rate, crit damage, and effect res. The gloves. The crit rate and crit damage is nice. I wish it had defense instead of HP though. That's like my major fucking complaint with this. So hopefully I get a better ring at some point, but and the headpiece is defense, speed, a little bit of crit rate. Again, effect hit rate, just cursing the spot, but it is what it is. And then I'm running Broken Keel because I just want to give extra crit rate to the whole party. Primarily is used with the follow-up team, and with the follow-up team, just having the extra crit damage for himself and for the rest of the party. And this is kind of why I like having higher defense and why I want more like defense on Topaz, or not Topaz, Ting Yun and some of the other characters, is the way his shields work, like the damage taken is reduced by defense, so just having higher defense on those units means that his shield lasts longer. Like increasing your HP does not help in that regard, so having some HP helps, like if the enemy gets through your shield, but if you have enough defense, like they really don't get through your shield, so unless they like hard focus a single unit, but then having higher defense on that unit means that they're just not going to get their defense crushed. And then just his trace, like anytime he does the follow-up attack, he gives extra shield to whichever character has the lowest shield. So Yeah, with the lowest shield effect, so just being able to apply 14% plus 192 extra shield. And that, because we're also running the 4-piece set, we get the extra 20% shield created. So it's a ton of shield. It's a ton of fucking shield. Alright, and Himiko is one of those characters. I've got it in the standard banner twice, so I do actually have her E1. I like using her. She's not always the best. If I switch this back. When I do use her, I'll use with this setup. So she actually has like 94.4 crit as long as she's high enough on HP because of her trace. So she has really high crit rate. She's got good crit damage. She's got solid attack. Switch light cone. Depends on what content I'm doing. But yeah, I did spend the 600 tokens to get her this because pure fiction can be a bit tough sometimes. So I figured it was a good idea to just go ahead and purchase her light cone instead of getting extra 30 pulls. But yeah, so she's got ridiculously high attack now, and then she gets even more attack when there's more enemies on the field, and then as soon as she gets that weakness break, she gets that damage increase. Good character. She's really good in that new boss fight, the triple choir boss. Like, she absolutely just shits on it, which is hilarious. I'm glad they did that. Hopefully we'll get a fight that Yan King will actually be fucking good in, because this poor guy. I mean, Aventurine helps him. He's one of the newer standard characters I got. Like, I got him after I got Japard, so he's actually the newest 5-star banner. I did get him leveled up. I haven't really used him, and I got a fucking S1 because I failed a 50-50 and got a fucking second copy. So I have an S1 Yan King. But overall, I like his traces. I've worked on him a little bit. Once everything kind of settles down, like I want to get Aventurine and Gallagher and Hanya built up. Once they're kind of built up, then it's going to be a debate of whether I build him up or just build Misha. And I'm kind of leaning towards Misha's probably the better option at the moment for certain content and certain fights. But we'll see. It would be nice to just have him built up just in case, because like there might be some fight where he's actually really strong in, so just having him in the back pocket. I did the same for having Herta and Himiko built up, and then they released Pure Fiction, so just, you know, build what you can on your account, and you never know when it'll become useful. Japard's another really solid character, very specifically set up his traces to where I just need to get one more. I just need to get the effect res for him, and then that's it. I'm done with him, because getting damage on him doesn't matter. Damage doesn't matter. This doesn't affect the hit rate at all. It's just damage dealt. Who cares? And realistically, he should never die, because your party will probably die before he does, so his talent doesn't really help much either. Strange character. His shield's really bulky, though. It's going to be really fun whenever they release a new simulated universe, similar to like Swarm Disaster or Golden Gears. Because going in with Aventurine and Japard and Preservation Path, and with March 7th and like Fire Trailblazer will be absolutely hilarious. Just gonna have so many shields and just so much quake damage. It'll be hilarious. But other than that, I use him sparingly. Aventurine is always like I'll use him on one side of MOC or Pure Fiction, and then the other side it just kind of depends on what the fight is and what I feel is most useful. Whether I want shield or if I just want raw healing. If I want healing with a little bit of some cleanses. If I just need raw cleansing just all the time, then Lynx. So. And then Gallagher, if you just want break effect. I don't have Gallagher's idol on, so I don't have his fucking cleanse. So we have to make do with what we have. And other than that, like, it's not too much else to talk about the characters. Again, I have them all leveled up, so they're all usable. I can just swap gear around from stronger characters and do my thing. The only other character I'd say is interesting to talk about is probably March. I mean, I use like Herda for pure fiction. Like, she's pretty damn good. I have her built up. March is one of those weird fucking characters. Like, I hate her as a character. Like, she's probably my least. Actually, no, not probably. Is my least favorite uh, of the nameless characters. Um, but in her defense, as a actual unit, she's just goddamn fucking flexible. Like, the fact that I've been able to solo sustain in a lot of fights, the freeze, because I do have her built for effect hit rate. Yeah, it's like 78 here, but if I use the Japard light cone on her, she goes up to like 90 something. Sorry, 102 effect hit rate. So like, she has a really good chance to freeze. She's got good defense. The fact that her ult's AoE works really well into certain fights, like the 10 Stoneheart Aventurine fight, because she can just always win the blind bet. She can shield whoever's going to fail the bets, like a Ruin Mei, who literally can't win the bet. She gets fucking healing a little bit, not very much, but she does technically heal people with her shield. Her follow-up attacks like just trigger fucking everything for a ton of characters. For like moving Topaz, well, not Topaz, but Numby to do more follow-ups, or with the Venturine. Like, she's just a really goddamn flexible character. Like, just overall. I mean, like, I don't like her personality and like her as a character, but as a unit and as a kit of what her abilities and what she's able to do, like, it's a little confusing, like how low people keep putting her on tier lists. I don't think they realize like just how flexible of a unit she is and how she's able to fit and be used in a lot of comps. But yeah, like, as a sustain, I'm definitely going to be using her less and less now that I have Aventurine. The only other thing I would really use her in is, like, you know, goofing off in like Swarm Disaster, like I said earlier, or Simulated Universe with Preservation Path. And then I might even just, at some point, just kind of build her for DPS and let her just be a follow-up counterattack fucking bot with a Venturine and just see if she can actually do some decent damage. Because, I mean, she gets 3 fucking counterattacks, like, every turn that she gets. So, that's about it for units. Dan Hung's one of my old... Well, Dan Hung and Xu Shang are like some of my old fucking workhorses from when Splur's clearing MOC, but unfortunately I don't get to use them as much anymore. Harmony MC does kind of bring some life into the two of them again, so we'll see. I might actually be able to whip them out at some point. It just kind of depends on enemy weakness and if I can fit them in or not. Whether it's effective or not is another question, but if I can at least get a clear with them, then I'm pretty much happy with that. I'm not too worried about low cycle clears or anything like that. Progress wise, I've been clearing MOC 10 and MOC 12 ever since 12 was released. Pretty much since it came out. I haven't fully done this current one. Yeah, because I've only cleared up to 9, like, it just came out like just last night, so just take a couple days, not too stressed about it. Pure Fiction we've been beating up pretty well, between Himiko and Herda and Kafka and Black Swan. I'm actually not having hardly any issue in Pure Fiction. Looking forward to Jade though, because I'm pretty sure they're going to start introducing a lot more quantum enemies into Pure Fiction once Jade comes out. And I don't know if Twin Tway will be able to match. She's a good unit. We'll have to see. That Lycon's just being held on her because they just swap Lycons and stuff around. Resource wise, where are we at? So got a good chunk of shit here. And we don't really need or use very much. Tons of EXP books. Again, this is why I'm not really worried about overworld farming anymore. Credits were, 28 million credits, so like I have no risk of like actually going down. In fact, I'm pretty sure like if I sat down and record like my credits at the start of every patch, I'm pretty sure my credits go up from patch to patch, even when I'm not EXP farming, because they just give you so many credits. I don't even do like the daily quest either. Oh my god, yeah. I don't do this anymore. Just, like I don't like 5 credits just does, or 5,000 credits just doesn't mean shit to me. I do these from Pom Pom, but if he ever offers me the adventure log, I just let it expire and get another quest instead. You get, I think, one of these a day, but it does stack up. So, like, if you don't complete it in a day, you can technically get 2 the following day, or if you skip 2 days, you can technically get 3 in a day. I'm not sure if there's like an upper limit of how many it stores, but you're able to like bank on these. But yeah, if he offers me the EXP book, I just let it expire. So after 2.5 hours, it'll expire. Once it expires, I'll talk to Pom Pom again, and it'll randomize whatever request he gives. And basically, I just want the Lycone EXP. It's way more important to me, because I have Lycones as a level. But that's that. Only other oddity with my account, again, this has to do with the fact that I have way too many credits, is I started fucking goofing off and making just a shit ton of the delicious bean cakes. So I have 2,755. My goal is to get to the max limit, which is 99,999, if I remember correctly. Yeah, 99,000, yeah. It's going to take me a while, and the way I do that is through the assignments. For the synth material, I always get this one, so I can convert those into bean cakes. And then every day, well, not every day, it depends if I remember, but if I remember on days, I will go to Orem Alley. And there's a nice little shop lady over here that sells me the grain looking item.
Let me be clear.
Yeah, the human height auspicious crops, and I just buy 100 of those. So I'm like, most days I'm spending like the 20,000 credits just as a joke, and I still have money. So if you're having credit problems, that means you wail or you're just not doing something. Like skipping events or not doing your dailies. Like that's the only guess I have. I have no idea how people end up credit poor in this game. Like if you wailed and you're building like a shit ton of characters, like yeah, that's gonna tank some credits. But even if I spread out, like if I didn't get all those Eidolons and built other characters, I don't think it would like yeah, I would have a lot less credits, but I would still have a lot of credits left. Like I would still have like probably like 10 million credits. So again, like I don't understand why people have credit problems in this game, especially if you're like free to play or like a low spender. You should not have any problems with credits in this game. It just throws way too many at you. And then yeah, I just hit the synthesizer, bean cake. Bam, let's 844 more of them. Let's go. Or no, I just crafted the wrong thing. Jerk. Alright, there we go. Some bean cakes. Yeah. What the hell did I just make? Normal gel. Oh, there we go. Buy some more of that just to make sure, because I don't know if it's needed for other things. I just wasted a whole bunch of those. It's fine.
Where to now?
Hold on to it.
Again, we have credits, we don't care. We don't even use consumables all that much, so it's not a huge deal. Mission-wise, we're all done on missions. Let's see. We're at 32,000. We are still debating on who to pull next. Am I going to take the Firefly pill? Am I going to go for Jade? Am I going to pull Light Cones? Am I going to pull Eidolons? I don't know yet. Who's going to, like, and then once we get to the end of this patch, we'll find out who comes out after Firefly and Jade. So just kind of all up in the air at this point. Don't really know who exactly I'm going to pull next. I'm not settled. Jade is definitely one of the ones that's on the higher possible priority because Pure Fiction could be an issue. Because I do clear Pure Fiction, but sometimes like I'm not getting like the full 80,000. Like currently. Yeah, so 65. So, which is a, you know, it's a clear. I got my 3 stars. But you know, it does get harder over time, just like they did with MOC. So it's gonna get harder and harder, and they're gonna introduce, like when Jade comes out, I guarantee you they're gonna start introducing more stages that have quantum weakness. Because right now it's mostly focused on physical, wind, lightning, fire, and ice, I think is what they're usually doing. Because Herta Himiko, lightning is like to benefit Serval and Jing Yuan, and then wind for Black Swan. There's been a couple times I think there's been some quantum, but like it's usually paired with another element, so like you can still get by. But yeah, they haven't done like a full quantum like focused one yet, and I do think it's coming. So when Jade comes out, they're gonna start pushing that. Well, physicals for Argenti, so that's usually the one element like I'm a bit of a struggle on, is when it's got like a physical on one side. I usually have to focus on the other elements. Or in this case, just throw both Himiko and Herdad and just pray it's enough. Yeah, I ran Luca just to get some breaks in. And I actually managed a 40k there on the first wave, so it went perfectly fine. I actually struggled a little more on the second one. This was a weird one though, cause yeah, it's got the that weird follow-up attack thing. It's not dot focused. And yeah, 2 follow-up attackers, and then Event Train also follow-up attacking. So I just get a fuck ton of turns. And yeah, Luca was there just to build be SP positive and do some breaks. That's pretty much what he was there for. And it worked. As for my thoughts on the game as a whole, the game's got some shitty formulas. I don't like some of the damage formulas. I think they're too obtuse. Like, I'm able to understand, like, I don't have issues, like, understanding the damage formula. I just think it's more complex than it really needs to be. Like, why do we need just so many layers of, like, damage increase? Like, why do we need crit damage on top of damage boost, on top of enemy elemental resistance, on top of enemy defense? Like, there's a point where it just gets more complicated than it really needs to be. Or especially if you have, like, two effects that are effectively equally competing in a way, like defense and resistance,
Nice.
effectively competing. Though resistance isn't something that the players had access to yet, as far as I'm aware. There's no character that actually can increase any of these yet, but that may be something that comes in the future. Maybe they'll start making enemies hit a lot more. That's kind of one thing I wish they would focus on a bit more, is stop just increasing the HP. Like, I mean, they increase the attack too, but it's mostly just bulking the HP on enemies to make them harder to kill, when they really should have focused on making enemies like hit harder and force you to like use like double sustain and stuff like that, so that way people aren't always using solo sustain. Maybe some fights you actually need to bring a double sustain to even survive. But who knows? I'm not the one who makes the game. I don't get any say in any of this. And we're American players. We have no sway over the Chinese company that makes this game with its large Chinese player base and large Chinese income. They probably care a little bit, but not that much about what American players have to say about the game. There are ways I feel that they could improve the game, though. So they do some good stuff, though. Game's weirdly, for a Chinese game, it has some weird based moments, like when Natasha like literally quotes a fucking founding father of the United States of America. Basically, like during the Topaz trying to collect the dead in Belobog, Natasha basically says those who would trade liberty for freedom deserve neither, which was the Thomas Jefferson quote. Or sorry, not Benjamin Franklin, I believe, was the one that actually said it. But she kind of misquotes, like she gives the same general idea, but it is not like a one-to-one quote. But she is implying the same thing that the founding fathers felt, which I thought was very fucking interesting. And there's like a lot of stuff about like free will versus not free will, so there's some interesting stuff. The story, how do I put this, because I know this could upset a lot of people. The story is not very good. It has moments that are good, but overall I would say the story's kind of falls flat and has a lot of pacing issues. Belobog has like just a whole bunch of like plot points that just kind of are brought up and then aren't really explored in depth, especially to where they should have gone with them. Like bringing up Svarog and the robot faction in the underworld. Like really nothing comes of that. It's just, well, Clara and Svarog exist, so we have to shoehorn them in the story somehow. So I mean that's how I felt about that. And the Lofu, of course, I think most everyone kind of agrees the Lofu story arc was a fucking disaster. There might be some people that defend it, but I think the overall consensus from the wider community is that yeah, the Lofu was not very good. Penacony started out good. 2.0 and 2.1 I actually feel were both really good. And there are some good parts in 2.2, but 2.2 has horrible pacing issues for two reasons. One, it feels like the conclusion was rushed, but the content of 2.2 was also really dragged out, like poorly padded, because it was just constant fucking cutscenes, constant fucking talk, and like very little like actual gameplay. It's like it didn't feel like you were exploring at all. Whereas like 2.0 and 2.1, like you actually had some stuff to do when you were running around in the dungeons. Whereas 2.2 is just, I don't know, just really boring. There was and then like the conclusion of 2.2 of course also just leaves a shit ton of cliffhanger, so it's not the real end. It's the climax, which is not the ending of the story. So we still have loose ends that are not resolved, like the fate of Firefly. Gallagher presumably is going to go fuck off and die, just like Misha. Yeah, is what actually happened to Sunday? Because again, we don't actually know. There's a small little hidden quest that kind of hints that he's still alive, but we don't actually know yet. So we'll see how they want to tie up the loose ends, I guess, in the next patch or two. But yeah, this was the climax. They didn't even they gave us the option to point of view play Robin and Boothill, but then we didn't actually get to use either of them when we got to do that for Aventurine and Acheron. And I feel like that was a fuck up on their part, to put it nicely. They really should have allowed you to trial the characters like in combat and with your own team. So that way you can get a feel for them. Like, I think that's actually a good way to introduce them. This whole, what if you go to, the aptitude test, like, it's all pre-set up characters, and it's just, like, a single fight that's pretty much borderline scripted. Like, it literally just tells you, like, what to do, and it's like, oh, this is how the character works. It's like, okay, well, that doesn't tell me how the character's going to work with my team, or where's like my flex options. How can I use the character in more interesting ways? Being able to control Robin or Boothill during the story would have gave you that opportunity, just like how we were able to do that with Aventurine and Acheron last patch. So hopefully they refine that next time. Sounds like we're probably going to be playing Firefly and Jade in the next update. Maybe they'll let us play them. 'Cause they didn't this time. I think that's mostly it. That's 772, so I could technically get another light cone if I wanted. I'm just going to sit on the points. I might start getting passes now. Not too worried about buying 4 stars. I'm not worried about buying Tracks of Destiny either. Like, I actually have a whole bunch of them. Yeah, I get these ones here. I might, like, buying these might not even be the most important either, because I actually still have a ton of them. Yeah, because I have 25 still. But again, it's also because I just don't pull as many characters, so... Yeah, one thing that I had to start teaching myself to do is actually use these embers and actually get the trace materials. So they're actually really damn useful, because that saves you Trailblaze power. So I try to keep some spare because I don't know how long it's going to be until I pull another character, but actually using these to buy trace materials actually really helps. So I prefer to have my characters traced up, like get their traces leveled. Yeah, Topaz is like really well set up. Ruin Maze pretty much up there. Basic tech's not that important. Kafka's fully done. Black Swan's fully done. Ratio's almost done as well, because we're gonna pretty much ignore his basic attack, but I would like to get his ultimate to 10 as well. Yeah, I mean, trace-wise, we're pretty good. Aventurine's the target right now, because we're gonna try to get him to 80 and just get him traced up as well. I do want him to do some decent damage on top of being a bulky shield master. So we make most use out of him as we can. Yeah, Bailu I stopped at 8 because I don't actually use her that much, but I did get all her minor traces. That's the other thing, is just making sure to get like the major and minor traces on every character. even if it's just for like little stuff, even if it's just a little bit of damage, it's like, you know, it's extra damage. Except for on Japard, he just. Oh man. But yeah, I mean that's generally how I feel. The game's okay. Like I enjoy playing it. I don't play it as much as I did before. Like I'll log in, spend my Trailblaze power. I'll do like memory chaos and stuff like that. But like it's a good way to pass time. Probably gonna go play some Deep Rock Galactic or Ass Libra, but that is my 365 days. So thanks for those that watched. Thanks for watching. If you have thoughts or you don't agree with some of my opinions on stuff, you're welcome to discuss that. I don't harbor any ill towards anyone in the comments, so take care.